Making headlines this hour, President Dr. Mohamed Moise returns the First Amendment Bill to the Thalassemia Control Act to Parliament for reconsideration. President Dr. Mohamed Moise urges to develop a local tourism in the Maldives in such a way that Islamic values are not compromised. And President Dr. Mohamed Moise reaffirms his administration's commitment to preserving and developing the Madiwaru Lagoon for the benefit of the residents of Rastu, Alif Alif Atoll. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to PSM News in English with me, Idham Naim. President Dr. Mohamed Moise returns the First Amendment Bill to the Thalassemia Control Act to Parliament for reconsideration. The bill was passed during the 22nd sitting of Parliament's second session of 2025, 6th August, and subsequently forwarded to President's Office for ratification. However, citing concerns raised by the Maldivian Blood Services thalassemia patients and their families, the President decided to return the bill for revision. The decision was made in light of the need for additional amendments to ensure the Act of objectives are fully realized and that services provided to thalassemia patients are comprehensive and effective. The amendment bill has now been formally sent back to Parliament for reconsideration. President Dr. Mohamed Moise urges to develop local tourism in the Maldives in such a way that Islamic values are not compromised. He makes the remark while addressing the residents of Ukulas, Alif Alif Atoll, as part of his tour of the atoll. In his speech, the President described the people of Ukulas as hardworking and noted that the island was among one of the first islands to introduce local tourism. He stressed that the local tourism operates within inhabited islands. There are important considerations that must be taken into account when conducting business. The President expressed the government's desire to also promote local tourism and reiterated the government's commitment towards it. However, he emphasized that there are principles that business operators must uphold and adhere to, including avoiding practices prohibited in Islam and that which are not deemed appropriate for the community. Earlier in the day, President Moise met with the Ukulas Island Council, the Women's Development Committee and heads of local institutions to discuss the island's most pressing development priorities. During the discussions, council members emphasized the housing issue. Members highlighted the difficulties faced by the school due to lack of science laboratory and a library. They further relayed concerns regarding the space constraints at the health center and conveyed the need for expediting the completion of the extension building as well as the need for additional staff. As part of the visit, the construction of the office building of Ukulas School was contracted to Fahidirulung Corporation. The agreement was signed on behalf of the government by the Minister of Education, Dr. Ismail Shafiu, while FDC was represented by its Deputy Managing Director, Ibrahim Razan. The President described the project as essential for the island and said its completion will bring ease to the school, its students, teachers and staff. In the sports sector, an agreement was signed between the Ministry of Sports, Fitness and Recreation and Maldives Airports Company Limited to construct a sports complex in Ukulas. Sports Minister Abdullah Rafiu signed the agreement on behalf of the government, while MSCL was represented by its Managing Director Ibrahim Sharif Mohammed. The President also addressed the island's ongoing road construction project, assuring residents it would be implemented according to the wishes of the people. President Moise arrived in Ukulas on 20th August, marking the 8th and final stop in his tour of inhabited islands within Alif Alif Atoll. The 3-day tour encompassed 8 islands including Toddu, Rastu and Ukulas and forms part of a nationwide initiative to engage with councils across all atolls, islands and cities. President Dr. Mohamed Moise reaffirms his administration's commitment to preserving and developing the Madiwaru Lagoon for the benefit of the residents of Rastu, Alif Alif Atoll. He makes the remarks during his visit to Rastu as part of his recently concluded tour of the atoll. Addressing island residents, the president reiterated his pledge to preserve and develop the Madivaru Lagoon as both a potential tourist spot and a space for general community use. As part of the initiative, he announced that geobags would be installed to strengthen the shoreline alongside the development of picnic areas and local tourism facilities. He further noted that 200 hectares designated as part of the island would be reclaimed to provide land for residential and industrial purposes. Earlier in the day, the president met with the Rastu Island Council, the Women's Development Committee and heads of local institutions to discuss the island's most pressing development priorities. During the discussion, council members urged the expedition of the harbour development project alongside the sandbank development. They also requested the completion of the development project on the island without delays. Additionally, the council members briefed the president on the difficulties caused by the delays in the harbour development project and raised concerns regarding space constraints at the school as well as the shortage of staff at the health centre. The president further announced that the construction of a new mosque will commence once a suitable plot of land has been allocated. He explained that the project had not progressed as the island council had set a high price for the land. He noted, however, no islands have imposed such charges for land allocated for mosques. Additionally, the president revealed that the 10,000 square feet area currently used by the island's police station would be transferred to the council. He explained this land would be repurposed for commercial use by the community, adding that the prime location would enable the council to utilize it effectively for the benefit of residents. As part of the visit, passport and national identity card issuance services were launched in Rastu by the Minister of Homeland Security and Technology, Ali Hassan. President Dr. Muiz highlighted the new school building as a key initiative for the island, adding that once completed, it would include a skills lab, computer lab, prayer room, library, and a multipurpose hall, all facilities that would help alleviate current space constraints. The president also launched dialysis services at Alif Alif Atoll Hospital during his visit to Rastu, in line with his vision to establish dialysis centers across all atolls. The government believes that the launch of the service at Alif Alif Atoll Hospital would ease the burden on kidney patients within the atoll. A key event held as part of the president's visit to Rastu included the groundbreaking for Rastu Council Secretariat, with the foundation stone laid by the Minister of Cities, Local Government and Public Works, Adam Sharif Umar. Official tourism figures shows more than 300,000 tourists have spent their holidays in guest houses so far this year.
According to the latest tourism statistics from the Ministry of Tourism and Environment, Maldives has welcomed 1.4 million tourists to its shores, which is a 9.1% increase from the 1.3 million during the same period last year. Tourist resorts remain the preferred choice for holidaymakers, the figures showed, with over 1 million guests. Guest houses in second place have welcomed 309,490 tourists so far, followed by tourist hotels with 37,282 and safari vessels with 29,018. Top 5 source markets are as follows: China with 218,268 tourists, Russia with 168,288 tourists, United Kingdom with 129,792 tourists, Italy with 102,053 tourists, and Germany with 97,534 tourists. Amid renewed government-led efforts to expand local tourism in the Maldives, the figures showed that there are currently 891 guest houses operating in 20 atolls across the country. The bed capacity of 15,284 in these tourist facilities is 24% of the total beds in the tourism sector. The world-renowned tourist destination in 2024 witnessed the highest number of tourist arrivals in a single year in its 52-year tourism history. According to tourism figures, a total of 2,047,435 tourists had holidayed in the Maldives in 2024. This is a 9% increase from the 1,878,543 tourists from 2023. This marks the first time Maldives has welcomed 2 million tourists to its shores in a calendar year. The government aims to improve tourism occupancy and bring in 2.3 million tourists this year.
3 companies are awarded contracts to establish waste management centers in 4 islands of the Maldives. The 4 islands where the waste management centers will be established are Mafushi and Tulustu of Kaf Atoll and Mahibadu and Hanya Midu of Alif Dal Atoll. These projects are part of the Greater Malé Environmental Improvement and Waste Management Project, funded jointly through an Asian Development Bank grant and government contributions. Our Investment Private Limited has been contracted to complete the waste management centers in Tulustu and Mafushi within 120 days at a value of $376,135. Sunny Land Investment Private Limited will undertake the Mahibadu facility also within 120 days for $272,374. Meanwhile, the development of the Hanya Midu Waste Management Center has been awarded to Elite International Private Limited for $298,314 to be completed within 150 days. State Minister for the Ministry of Tourism and Environment, Mohammad Faiz, signed the agreements on behalf of the government. The agreements were signed on behalf of the companies by their representatives. Although the contracts for the construction of waste management centers have only now been awarded, some of the equipment needed for waste management in these islands has already been handed over to the island councils. This includes garbage trucks, cane crushers and wood chippers. World of Business Private Limited is awarded the development and operation of the Manhattan Grand Hotel in Hurmale. The agreement was signed by the Housing Development Corporation HDC's Managing Director Ali Zuhair, while World Business Private Limited was represented by its Chief Executive Officer Fahias Pangat. World Business Private Limited is a joint venture with Dubai's Deep Sea Company. The Manhattan Grand Hotel is being developed in the building that was originally being developed by the State Trading Organization STO as a city hotel in Hurmale Phase 1. However, the project was left incomplete and had remained unused for the past 17 years. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz has since announced plans to utilize the $34 million building for a hotel, along with the facilities such as a media village, heritage college and a youth center as part of his broader development vision. As part of the new strategic vision for the country's development, the hotel will be redeveloped as the Manhattan Grand, a 5-star hotel featuring 158 rooms, a banquet hall, a multi-purpose hall, conference halls, a swimming pool, 4 international food and beverages brands, a gym and a spa. The hotel will be connected to the new passenger terminal of Velana International Airport, with 12 airlines expected to sign agreements with the hotel. The hotel is expected to reach completion within 12 months. In addition, 3.5 floors of the building will be allocated to fulfill 4 key pledges: the establishment of the media village, youth center, medical college and heritage college. These facilities are to be completed within 5 months and handed over to the government. As part of the deal, HDC will receive $11 million as the property value, alongside $14.4 million annually in rent. The state will also receive $2.5 million in taxes. World of Business Private Limited Corporation Social Responsibility CSR program will permanently cover the electricity, water and maintenance costs of the $7 million youth center, media village, medical college and heritage college. Award among member states during the Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development AIBD 23rd General Conference held in Phuket, Thailand, elects Public Service Media PSM, the public broadcaster of the Maldives, as Vice President of the General Conference and appointed as a member of the Executive Board. The Maldives was nominated for the position of Vice President of the AIBD General Conference by Sri Lanka, with the nomination seconded by Thailand, which currently holds the presidency of the General Conference for the forthcoming 2-year term. The appointment secures PSM a 2-year tenure in a senior role within the AIBD. The outcome reflects the PSM's sustained engagement in regional media development and its institutional credibility among Asia-Pacific peers. Comprising 10 member countries, the AIBD Executive Board oversees the organization's financial stewardship, a human resource strategy, and administrative coordination. PSM's inclusion in this governing body positions the Maldives within the core decision-making framework of the Institute. Founded in 1977, the Asia-Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development operates as a multilateral platform for public broadcasters across the region. Its mandate centers on advancing media capacity and fostering professional development through structured programs, including technical training, editorial workshops, and collaborative initiatives. The 23rd General Conference, held from 19th to 21st August, convened representatives from across the Asia-Pacific to deliberate on the evolving challenges confronting regional broadcasters. Discussions focused on strategic responses to how to shape the future of AIBD. Beyond its role within the AIBD, PSM continues to represent the Maldives in prominent international media bodies, including the Asia-Pacific Broadcasting Union (ABU) and the Commonwealth Broadcasters Association (CBA). Through its active participation, the broadcaster contributes to aligning the Maldives media sector with globally recognized standards and advancing its presence within the international broadcasting community. A court rules a fine of $58.64 million to Qantas Airways, Australia's largest airline, for illegally dismissing over 1,800 ground staff and replacing them with contractors during the COVID-19 pandemic. In imposing a penalty close to the maximum available for breaching Australia's workplace laws, Federal Court of Australia Judge Michael Lee said it was to ensure it could not be perceived as anything like the cost of doing business. Transport Workers Union National Secretary Michael Cain outside the court said, "Court, this penalty of $58 million, an unprecedented amount for an industrial breach, reflects the gravity of this. This is the largest breach in industrial relations history, and it devastated these workers and their colleagues and their families," unquote.
It's wrong to say that we're happy today, but it is right to say that our union, and that means 60,000 members of our union, which took on this risk, which took on a fight, a battle 5 years ago, which no one said we could win, feels vindicated.
Lee added that $32 million of the penalty would be paid to the Transport Workers Union, which brought the case on behalf of the 1,820 staff fired by Qantas during the pandemic. It comes around 9 months after the Qantas and the union agreed on a $77 million settlement for the sacked workers. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres calls for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza after Israel announced the first steps of an operation to take over Gaza City. Guterres said in Japan, where he is attending a conference on African development, quote, "It is vital to reach immediately a ceasefire in Gaza to avoid the death and destruction that a military operation against Gaza City would inevitably cause," unquote. He also called on Israel to reverse a decision to expand illegal settlement constructions in the West Bank.
"I must reiterate that it is vital to reach immediately a ceasefire in Gaza and the unconditional release of all hostages, and to avoid the massive deaths and destruction that a military operation against Gaza City would inevitably cause."
The UN chief also reiterated criticism of the United Nations Security Council, saying geopolitical disagreements among its veto-holding permanent members had left the influential body unable to reach a consensus on ending conflicts around the world. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro condemns the U.S. military deployment in the Caribbean as a threat to regional peace and a violation of international law. Speaking at the ALBA-TCP summit, Maduro accused the U.S. of using anti-drug operations as a pretext for intervention and falsely linking Venezuela to terrorism. The summit, with regional leaders in attendance, issued a joint statement rejecting the U.S. military presence and calling for respect for sovereignty. Maduro demanded an immediate end to military threats and adherence to the UN Charter. On 20th August, two anonymous sources revealed that the U.S. had deployed an amphibious squadron, including the USS San Antonio, USS Iwo Jima, and USS Fort Lauderdale, with 4,500 service members potentially arriving near Venezuela. The mission targets what the U.S. calls narco-terrorist organizations, part of the U.S. President Donald Trump's broader push against drug cartels and to secure the southern border. Al Ahly advances to the Saudi Super Cup final with a 5-1 thrashing of Al Qadsiya. The reigning Asian champions found themselves behind early on when Uruguayan defender Gaston Alvarez scored for Al Qadsiya in the 8th minute. Al Ahly responded within 4 minutes. However, as former Barcelona and Milan midfielder Frank Kessie equalized from a long throw-in. Ivan Toney then added to his reputation as one of the world's best penalty takers when he starred down Keane Castells from the spot and sent the Belgian goalkeeper the wrong way just before the half-hour mark. Enzo Miller, the Jeddah side marquee summer signing, adding another 3 minutes later before Al Qadsiya was reduced to 10 men when Christopher Bonzuba was shown a straight red for a studs-up challenge on Roger Ibanez. Kessie scored his second from a short corner routine on the stroke of half-time with ex-Real Madrid captain Nacho Fernandez, then steering across into his own net in the 61st minute to wrap up a 5-1 rout. Al Ahly will contest the final against Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr, who overcame a numerical disadvantage following the dismissal of Sadio Mane to defeat Saudi Pro League champions Al Ittihad 2-1 in the other semi-final. The 2025 edition of the Saudi Super Cup is the first time the competition is being staged overseas, with Hong Kong playing hosts to all 3 matches, including Saturday's final, after the Saudi Arabian Football Federation signed a sponsorship deal with SUMKM Sport. Researchers develops a novel tap-and-go method to tag whales using drones, according to a study published in PLOS 1.
The team from Project SETI, or Cetacean Translation Initiative, a research effort studying sperm whale communication using non-invasive technologies to understand their behavior and support marine conservation, says the method offers a less invasive and faster alternative to traditional techniques. The approach, tested on sperm whales off Dominica, uses modified first-person view or FPV racing drones to deploy suction-based tags, which collect data on whale behavior, including bioacoustics and dive depth. The drones, adapted to withstand seawater, carry tags that adhere to a whale's back in an average of 1 minute and 15 seconds with a success rate exceeding 55%. This is significantly quicker than the 3 to 5 minutes typically required for pole tagging. The study, conducted by researchers from Harvard University and Project SETI, highlights the method's cost-effectiveness, with drone components costing around $1,300. While challenges remain, such as sensitivity to sea conditions and the need for skilled piloting, the approach could pave the way for more automated tagging solutions, enhancing marine mammal research.
That concludes news for now. Thank you for watching PSM News. Have a good day.